All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for a special edition show. We've got this week, obviously, a three-gamer here on the Saturday NFL slate. We're going to get into it, break down all three games. It is staggered, much like the Thanksgiving slate, so we'll get to that, break it all down. Minnesota, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Indy, Denver, Detroit to round it out. Hoops future Super Bowl champion Detroit Lions closing off the slate at the end of the day. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about all the coverage we'll have over here at SHIPIT Nation. If you guys are just joining us, do us a favor on the way in or here for the first time, hammer the like button on the way in. Subscribe to the channel. Giveaways. We got some big ones. So first of all, subscribe to the channel. We're about 130, I think, subscribers away, free subscribers on YouTube away from giving away the annual membership. When we do get to the annual membership giveaway, we had two great members, Chris Neville, and our other guy, who was it? Trying to think now. It was DFS Juice, who already gave a bunch away with two more 6-month memberships. So we're going to have a ton of big giveaways there. Today, we have our guy CK Fly giving away $100, and DFS Juice is giving away $100 times two. So we're going to have to divvy those out, Hoop. We got $300, three $100 winners to give away. And then we've also got the Merino jersey, which we did the draw before we get on. We hopped on early today. We do have the winner of that Merino jersey, which we will announce later in the show. But Hoop, I got to bring you in first. That game last night got off the rails. Staley still has a job. I heard a rumor that they're trying to keep this guy around because they want to keep Kellen Moore as the OC, but they want to get Belichick as the coach. So they got to just keep letting Staley bury himself. He's already done, but just let him bury himself further. That was a team that quit completely on him yesterday. There's just no possible way after winning 3-0 the week before, this team comes out and puts up 60-something points.
Yeah, I was just quitting, giving up, hating the coach. I mean, some of those fumbles not accusing these guys of anything, but they literally intentionally dropped the ball. I mean, it was a tough scene for the Chargers. They clearly are not interested in playing for Staley. That was one of the more pathetic performances. A lot of times you see, even in spots where you'd expect a team to just lay down and not give a shit, they still come out and do something. These are professional athletes. They still kind of surprise you. Yeah, they got an idiot coach, but they're still coming out and playing hard because they're just natural born athletes. Last night, those guys did not play hard. They literally, you could just see it in the plays. You could see it in their faces. They have no interest playing for this moron. And it's just the look on his face as the game's going on. It's just what is going through his head? It was wild, but man, there's a lot of bad coaches in the NFL. So it's not just him, but this one stands out. Just shocking that he's still around. And yeah, maybe there is some of that backdoor stuff going on as to why he's still here.
Yeah. Ross said, there was this, but also the halftime one when he stopped. Don't even stop by. When you're getting your ass pounded like that, it's time to move on.
Just
get to the locker room as fast as possible. Don't be trying to talk to people about how this game is going down and what you need to do in the second half. You need to get in there, figure your shit out. But yeah, I have no idea how that played out. We do have 3 games on here. How do you want to do the $100 giveaways today? Because we do have 3 $100 giveaways. 2 of them need to be members only. So maybe we should have something with that. Maybe you get the Discord up along the way. We can set it up that way. We'll save one for later because other people are at work. It's an afternoon Friday trying to get off for the weekend. Maybe we'll save one $100 giveaway. Maybe we'll do a free roll tomorrow for members only in the Discord for 100 of it. And we'll give 2 $100 away now.
So 1 to a member and 1 to a non-member, right?
Yeah, it's 1 to a member.
So if you are the member, if you're the member and want to win it, just get the NFL.
You can't even make it up. Literally this second.
Fired?
Chargers fire Brandon Staley.
Just has to. And
the GM too. Tom Telesco is gone as well. Send them both.
You got to start over.
Hilarious.
At that point, you just have to fully start over. That was just that's embarrassing stuff. Just absolutely embarrassing. And it's funny, some of the people oh well, what do you expect? Easton Stick is the quarterback. This shit's been going on for 2 years with this guy. It's been rough. This is way beyond the point. Not many coaches would have made it here. Yeah, so he's out.
Yeah, it just happened too. That's so funny how it went
Perfect
down.
timing.
But yeah, we'll give away
breaking news here at SHIPIT Nation. Breaking news. You heard it here first.
The $100 is to celebrate the Staley firing.
Yeah,
so we set it up that way. But I like that. $100 to a non-member, $100 to a member, and then tomorrow we'll give away $100 in a free roll for members only for the 3-gamer. Have some fun with it. We've been doing it on showdown slates. Let's do it for the full 3-gamer tomorrow. I'll set that up, throw it out in the Discord later today.
All right, here's the giveaway, just because I think we've had a lot of good chemistry on these shows all season long. Mostly it's been, me, you, Title, Ham is subbed in a few times on our premier NFL shows, which are free. All our shows are free. I was going to say premium, but it's like I wanted to say premium like it's our flagship type show, but none of our shows are behind the paywall. They're all free. Your favorite memory this season on the SHIPIT Nation NFL shows, all right? Your favorite memory this season. Get your entries in. If you're not a member, put them in the YouTube. If you are a member, put them in our NFL Discord chat, and we'll pick the 2 winners that way.
Yeah, I like Ross too. He's always chiming in. Feels like it's premium. Yeah, that's good. That's what we like about it. We want to keep it that way. That's how we're going to do things here. So it's going to be good. Golf is coming up. We've obviously got everything going on right now with NBA, NHL, MMA. It's the last pay-per-view of the year. So we got lots going on over at the Nation. We've got more education courses coming your way that we're working on right now as well. So just lots of good things. But let's dive into this slate here, Hoop. We'll get to the other stuff after. But for now, Minnesota Cincy is going to kick it off. We are going to go game by game. But before we get into that one, with I believe it's going to be Mullins starting this week, $5,000 on DraftKings for Mullins. Backed up Kirk Cousins for a while, knows some of the offense. We'll get to that. But give me your grand scheme overview for this slate and how you see it playing out. A big total at the end of the day in Detroit. But then you still have the game in Indy, Cincy. There's some other spots that you could target here and get some pieces from. How are you looking at it overall?
Yeah, so started digging in this morning, kind of going through everything. And the one thing that I guess kind of stood out to me, which, this is tough to do sometimes on like main slates. Like there's all these teams, I think the quarterbacks are potentially in play. You can make the case for all of them. There's not a spot where it's like, okay, completely throw it away. Every team has at least one running back that's in play. And every team has multiple wide receivers that are pretty solid plays, and tight ends. There's quite a few tight end plays here too. So I think there's a lot of different ways to go when you start building your teams. I think what we do see is ownership spread out quite a bit across the board here. There are some guys they'll come in pretty popular. We'll talk about them as the show goes on, but from the standpoint of available plays on a 3-game slate, sometimes it gets difficult and there's, some nasty clicks you have to make. I think there's a lot of plays at every position. And the team totals are all relatively similar. I mean, the team totals on the slate are all within a touchdown. The Vikings are sitting at right around 19. The Lions are sitting at 26. So that's the one thing that initially stands out to me. Just a lot of directions to go here, a lot of guys that are in play. And I don't think there's really like a throwaway game or throwaway team really on the slate.
Yeah, I do agree there, especially you can make that case at quarterback too. Like you could make a case. Now I know we're going to make cases for ones we like, but there's an option there. But the big thing for me, takeaway wise, was that the running back pricing, there is no stud. Like you can say what we want about Gibbs and Montgomery in that game, of course, and Mixon, and we'll talk about Moss, third time's the charm or third time's the harm, maybe, because it has not been helpful to people so far. But just going back through it, like the price cap is $6,700, and when we've got cheaper price cap at quarterback is $6,500. Price cap at running back is $6,700. I think it's going to lead to the ability to get to Hawkinson and Laporta a lot more and a lot easier. 2 spots that you could definitely target. And then the guys that you have there in Amon-Ra, Chase, Pittman, Jefferson, all the stuff that we got going on there. And Jefferson, I think, is still what's his situation? Because I know he was Q-tag. I'm just trying to see it.
Officially questionable, but I mean, the indication early in the week was that he was planning on playing, I think. So
yeah, he's expected to play. I think he's going to play. Yeah, that's the other one. So yeah. Pricing wise though, like I said, you're not getting too many guys up there at quarterback or running back. Even at wide receiver, there's just the 3 or 4. And then the other, and just real quick on the chat, this is like, I'm not using this one as the winner, but I'm saying this is kind of my favorite memory is part of this one. Hoop nailing, telling people they're just complete dog shit, and then saying, but I'm playing them this slate and pegging it every single time.
It happened quite a bit.
It's happened.
Najee Harris for sure. Remember, Najee Harris went off for 20 the game I said I was playing him.
Najee, Dak. There was Somebody else.
There's been more. Kyler Murray.
Yeah, all the guys you said
were
were just like the best play that week, the 1 week only that you happen to be playing them. That's just insane stuff. So, all right, let's move on. Let's start with this first game. Let's get into it. We talked about it earlier where we just hit on Jefferson, so it kind of segues to it. I think Hawkinson could be a little bit popular in this spot. We know also yesterday, Madison was ruled out, right? So you've got Ty Chandler in the mix here now as well. So we'll see what he's going to do. He's at 5,300. Popping off a little bit in these projections, but talk to me here about this one. You know, you go back to the well on Jake Browning. What are you going to do here? Minnesota, Cincy favored by 3. It's in Cincinnati, and the total sitting at 40.5 right now.
Yeah, lowest total on the slate. On the Minnesota side, Mullins is the cheapest quarterback, but it's not really by that much. I mean, they really kind of squeeze these prices together at quarterback position, so you're not getting like the massive price break to go down to a guy like Mullins. I do plan on playing Justin Jefferson on this slate, so that means I will have some Mullins. It's not going to be at a super high rate, but I want to pair those two together, assuming Jefferson's good to go, which I think he is. And you have more direct pairings to go with him. You can play TJ Hawkinson, Addison I'd be fine with, and then you have Ty Chandler. So with Alexander Madison out, maybe they choose to pass the ball a little bit more. Mullins is a guy, he's played in this league before. It's not like he's a rookie coming in for the first time. He has weapons with him. I mean, he's got the best tight end on him and Laporta. I think Hawkinson and Laporta are the two best tight ends. He's got guys to throw it to. Hawkinson, Jefferson. So I'll be in on Mullins to Jefferson, Hawkinson, that sort of thing. Bengals side, I'm going to keep riding our guy Browning. I mean, we've been on him, for a while here. It's worked out quite well. He looks solid. He looks composed out there. Jamar Chase coming off the dud last week. I was all over him. Didn't work out well. Good bounce back spot, I think, here. So I'm fine going back to him. Some Higgins, some Boyd. The play I do like, though, is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has looked good recently. I mean, and it's tough to say because he's can be a frustrating guy, but the fantasy production has been there. 21. He had a stinker against Pittsburgh, but then 30, 21 and a half, getting all the carries. Not all the carries. They're mixing in this Brown guy who's had some big plays as well, but he's getting the important carries and getting targeted heavily in this offense. So I think Mixon's a strong play. Chase, Higgins, you can get at low ownership. Tanner Hudson, I want to keep playing this guy. It's a tough slate to really make cuts, to be honest with you. Once you start kind of talking through it, there's just a lot of really good plays on the slate. It's tough to start Xing out some of these guys. But the Bengals side, I know for sure I want solid exposure to. Brownings looks solid, and he has his full repertoire of weapons around him as well to make his life a little bit easier. So definitely like the Bengals side, and then some Jefferson and Hawkinson on the other. And I will play the Ty Chandler as well.
Yeah, 3-game slate. So I got to ask you this question: do you want to keep chasing Jake Browning, or do you want to mix in some Chase Brown? What's your thoughts on that? Because that's the 3-game slate. People are going to be on Mixon. Chase Brown showing up a little bit more lately, and you can just use all the players' names on their teams to say it that way. So is there anybody sort of random in this game that you'd go to? Because I think the plays you brought up are pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to show some more stuff on that in a minute, but all seriousness, is there any random one-off plays or down the board punts that you could get to here as a way to get different on this later salary?
I think in this game, the best way to kind of look to get different would be play guys like, Addison or maybe even KJ Osborne, and then, T Higgins and Tyler Boyd on the other side. So there are plays that you can get different with, like T Higgins, I think definitely stands out. I can't imagine he comes in with much ownership. He hasn't really done much the last 2 games, but he has the big play upside. It's a 3-game slate. So of all the plays here, I think Higgins is the one that stands out as like a low owned guy that could kind of win the slate for us. The Chase Brown stuff, I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but people will play him. He's just made the most out of these small opportunities, and good for him. But I'm not going to be chasing the big 20 fantasy point game that he had last time. It was like, a 50-yard screen pass that kind of went to the house. So I won't be there just because the running back field on the slate is strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can never leave it alone. Like Hoop always says, if it's there, I got to take it. I always grab it. So that's the one. I do want to show this. Obviously, we're here. I'm going to use this to be a little bit more actionable. You know, we got to get our marketing piece in, but also want to show it. I mean, a lot of shows going on right now. We talked about these are all free. You can get access. Our guy Marley is in the chat right now. Him and Title got the MMA show coming up next. It's again last pay-per-view of the year. So that'll be awesome. We got projections for everything right now for NFL, though. I mentioned this yesterday, just NFL alone. You're going to get projections and ownership for all of these slates. You're going to get the normal showdown content, projections, ownership for all of them. But the main featured slate tomorrow on DraftKings is Denver at Detroit. So you're going to still have a core report, a player pool, a slate plan, plus the projections and ownership for that. It'll be a quick turnaround, but we are covering all of our normal content for the 3-gamer and then flipping it over to the main slate. So you'll have all of that while NBA is going on, while MMA is going on. Everything's gone up for that now for tomorrow. NHL over the weekend as well. So if you want to get in, you can do 2 things. The code Mayo is still valid. I know we're here on our own channel, but if you want to sign up using Mayo, it's $62 instead of $69. That does get you into the Discord, which we talk about a lot. But I'm going to flip over, Hoop, and do this because we've been doing this on the NBA shows, smaller slates. This is a 3-gamer. I don't really mind. The projections just got updated.
Definitely.
So
yeah,
definitely want to see this as we look at it. And I mean, game by game, I guess we can take it here, but just looking at it, Mullins was one you mentioned. He does pop off, even though, and this is why I always do with this, you can take it all. We're in the solver, our partner. If you guys do sign up for our stuff and get our projections, if you get the solver, it's got our logo on here. Sets it up so it comes preloaded with everything, and then it auto syncs all of the updates. So you can get it for as little as $49.99 a month. You get ours for $62. You're just over $100. Other sites are charging $170 for that type of thing where you're getting everything and it brings it across for you directly. But kicking back to it, Hoop, this shows all the values based on projections. Well, you were correct, and I agree with you. We're not getting like a crazy discount on Mullins. It is still showing him up as one of the better options here. It's actually like it doesn't like Goff at 6,500 as much, Trubisky, and we'll get to them. Well, you can make a case for a lot of spots in this game, but it was interesting. Mullins shot up the board there. Going back to it here, just go over to running back. Mixon is up the board. He's sort of the only positive value. It's got these other guys, low projections, way down the board. Jefferson is up there over Chase, but both projected pretty solid. And then you go to tight end and Hawkinson, 14-point projection. That's a pretty healthy projection for tight end this week. And we'll see here when we click it to all, it's even a little bit more than Laporta. So I think a lot of people are going to be paying up for tight end. And then the defenses in this one, it looks like the Vikings could be a little bit more popular at 2,800. I don't mind that. Anything else that you want to add from this game that you see here? Anything else that stands out?
No. I mean, yeah, that Mullins projection, I think, is not interesting. Like I said, like he's been in this league. He's played before. It's not like it's just some random dude coming up and playing. He's got weapons. If Justin Jefferson's not playing, you probably don't like him all that much. Jefferson's in. He's got the top wide receiver on the slate, and he's got the top essentially tight end on the slate as well that he can throw the football to. So should be able to make something out of this situation, potentially playing from behind. So maybe I like Mullins a little bit more now that, we see this projection for him.
And our guy Whaler, I'll answer this one quickly because any questions you guys have, throw them in. We'll try and get to them as we go along. I saw Sean mention about the LSU connection, the back and forth that we could see between Double J and Chase there. Definitely possible. It's not the quarterbacks that you probably want throwing to them, but like Hoop said, if you get Mullins, if you get Justin Jefferson, Mullins becomes even more interesting because then they're going to tie together, and any big game Jefferson has likely going to lead to a bigger game for Mullins. Not always, but likely. And Whaler, I thought of him because Whaler, I think, was our first ever annual pass winner to SHIPIT Nation when we first launched 7 months ago today. Yeah. So we appreciate you, Whaler, still here with us. But the Never Mahomes thing is actually not to do with stats as much as how we play this game. And honestly, if Mahomes was on this slate, I would have more interest because it's only 3 games. The problem with Mahomes is on a main slate, it gets really tough to find out who to pair him with. I think Goff is different when we get to him, and we'll talk about it when we get to that game, but he actually has stackable pieces that are a little bit more condensed. Whereas if you just go load any Mahomes box score on any slate, you'll see he's throwing to 8 to 10 different guys, multiple running backs mixed in, multiple tight ends, all this stuff where it makes it really tough to get your roster construction right. I don't think I have any more takes on this one, Hoop. For me right now, it would be Mullins. That was the side I liked. We'll wait and see. I do like the fact that obviously a couple things. One, has played under O'Connell, backed up Cousins for a while. Like there's definitely knows the offense or should. And then also last week, it was a sad scene for them, 3-0 losing, I think it was 3-0. They got the win, right? Was the field goal at the end?
Yeah.
But
yes.
He's the one that marched them down the field to get them in field goal range. It was like a 56-yard play or whatever, if I recall correctly. So that's something that would at least stand out to me a little bit. And I don't mind as much either. I know a lot of people have this question often. We'll go to this next game here. But the other thing, Hoop, that people always bring up, and I've leaned against this season, explaining this to people many times, is total game points don't mean fantasy, don't dictate the fantasy points, especially on a 3-game slate as much, where some of these guys are priced correctly, or where you can still stack it up and allow you to get the big, quote unquote, big boy pieces in the other games that make it all work and still bring correlation into it. So I definitely think you can get pieces in this game, even with it being the game that has only a 40.5 point total. It's like the next one that we're about to go to, 42.5. The last one has the biggest total, but obviously, as someone mentioned earlier, on a 3-game slate, if you just want to overstack a game and hope that you get it right, I also have no problem with that strategy as well. Anything else you've got to add? If not, you can move us on and talk to us about Pittsburgh and Indy in Indianapolis, 42.5 point total, close spread. Thoughts on that one as well?
Yeah, I mean, of the 3 games, I think from a fantasy perspective, this one's probably the least appealing. At least that's what people are going to, think, when you look at it, it looks, a lot worse than the other two in terms of finding pieces. On the Pittsburgh side, they have Trubisky at quarterback, 2 running backs that are basically in a split with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. And then like Deontay Johnson and Pickens, and, they're cheap, but man, you still got to do something on this slate. And with Trubisky throwing them the ball, the odds of them going off is pretty darn low. So I don't really love the Pittsburgh side. If I were to go ahead and just like almost come close to like fading a team, it probably would be the Steelers. Pat Freiermuth, though, is a guy I do have interest in. 3,900. He's the cheap tight end, I think, kind of on the slate. 7 targets last week with Trubisky back there, only 3,900. I could definitely get to him, substantially cheaper than Hawkinson and Sam Laporta on this slate. So I'm good with Freiermuth. The rest of the Pittsburgh side, though, does scare me quite a bit. I mean, some of these guys got there last week, but that's because they're trailing, playing from behind against the freaking Patriots somehow. So, don't necessarily love the Pittsburgh side. What was the score of that game? Yeah, it was 21-18. Yeah, they were playing from behind. On the Colts side, I mean, same story here as Zach Moss. We've been playing him, no Jonathan Taylor. Taylor's going to be out again. The opportunity has been massive for him. He just has not gotten the job done. He's going to have the same opportunity this week. And, at some point it has to shift a little bit if this workload continues where he's getting everything, getting the goal line work. I mean, it's like, I don't know, like 90% of the work. It's exactly what you want out of a running back. You want a guy that's going to be out there and get all the work. It's been getting it and just has not been getting the fantasy points that come along with it, which has been frustrating, but very tough to avoid him on the slate. Michael Pittman, I think, a very strong option. He's really his game fits DK scoring quite well. He does have a really good connection with Minshew. Look at these targets: 12, 13, 16, 11. Like on a 3-game slate, I mean, you just have to have Pittman in there. Downs, I think, is a fine option at 4,600. It's really been the Michael Pittman show for the most part, but I wouldn't be opposed to playing Downs. And then it's tough with these tight ends because they mix them all in. Who knows, who's going to get the red zone looks with Cranston, Mo Alley Cox, this Mallory guy. Like, I just don't really know who it's going to be. So it does make it difficult from that perspective. Minshew is a guy I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet with Minshew. I like Pittman. I like Downs. Can I play Minshew over some of these other guys? It's a question for me on this slate. So, yeah, I definitely want to know your thoughts on Minshew among the rest of the stuff here.
Perfect segue, because that's where I was going to start. That's definitely a guy I'm interested in. The nice part is, again, it's going to get, as you always say, and you nail this every time, is the ownership's going to get spread out. But at least on this slate early on, it looks like it's going to be Goff and Wilson and then down from there. And it actually looks like you could see Browning and Mullins pull away from this game as well. I think the one thing we do know is Trubisky's going to be the lowest, so we'll see how that plays out. But when you've got, look, this is what we use our projections for. You can get away with just playing these 2 guys. Look how good they project. Even when I turn all games on, and I go by value, Moss far and away in the mix. You go here, Pittman, the only real super value on the slate based on price versus everything. I know people will be able just to play these two guys and get away with it and catch it up there, but I would have no problem just subbing in Minshew as another guy that you could put through if Mullins is going to get popular because of projection sites and the price. It's only $500. We can find it. Some will, but you know for a fact that if people have the money, and they do because we talked about it at wide receiver and at running back, you don't have to go there. There is cheap tight ends that you can play, cheaper defenses. I think that's where you see Wilson and Goff based on the game environment, the total. Goff at home, indoors in the dome. People love that, but this is an Indy too. I got no problem with this one. So I like this setup here. I don't know who my Pittsburgh guy would be. It might end up being Freiermuth. Man, Jaylen Warren, another guy. He made the tidbits today. There were some more good takeaways on him. It's funny, like you'll see the stuff come out on Najee. We made fun of the 15-yard runs, and now he had the most in the NFL. And now there's more stats on the Warren side where you're like, that's where you should or expect to see those stats pop up. So you're like, okay, he makes sense, but doing something like this would be kind of interesting, right? To start your lineup off where you're saying, look, I'll just bury two running back spots in the same game. I'll get the best two values and the quarterback with one run back. And if you want to overstack it and see what you can do, I mean, you still have 5.5K left. That'll pop up with a cheaper D. So lots of ways you can go here in this one. Definitely have interest in it. Pittman looks to be extremely owned, but for good reason, of course. So I'm fine with him. The Pickens price is down to 4,800. He's still getting the targets, and he's actually the targets become more of, and there it is. Yeah, can't believe the price.
Yeah, but I mean the question I have back to that is like, what should the price be? Because like he hasn't done shit all season, and I get it. It looks low for a guy like Pickens, but it's like that's kind of where it should be. Like he hasn't done anything in a long time. Yeah,
and which is fair. And I think that's the thing. When you see his big results, it's in games with 10, 10, and 8. So I'm saying at least at 4,800, I can feel like 6 is legit, and I'm okay. I know what I'm getting. I'm not saying he's my favorite play. I'm saying I get where people are coming from, and I wouldn't hate if you land there if you understand what you're getting out of it, and you're probably getting those same 5 to 6 targets. There's probably 1 to 2 of them that are completely uncatchable, that are going to be tough to get involved with, and then go for there. So, tough when it comes to that spot, but I guess where else are you going? I mean, you can take chances. Deontay, 5,200. There was one other guy I was thinking of here. I'm just going to turn.
Who do you like, Deontay or Pickens, if you could only pick one?
Ooh.
See what I did there?
Yeah. I think it's probably going to, oh man, I don't even know. I'm probably still going to side with Warren personally or Freiermuth, but maybe that means these guys somehow come in lower owned. If I had to pick one, it's probably just going to be going to Pickens for the price savings because I think they're both pretty similar.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, they're both right there for sure.
They're both the same. I mean, they've been the same thing. It just depends on how you want to see. Obviously, this is not enticing either. I mean, we're going to get to Cortland Sutton later on, but this is like Sutton for how much is Sutton on this slate?
64.
64. So if you want Sutton for cheaper, it's Deontay Johnson. It's that catches the touchdown, gets a few targets, some yards, gets you like a small number, even with the touchdown. So it's kind of one of those things, but definitely something to keep an eye on just to notice it. Shout out to some people here in the chat. Tweezy says, got me hooked here for the long ride. Always support any way I can. We do notice that and appreciate you, Tweezy. We got members looking out. As you know, the family always taking care of other people in the community. So love to see that. And then shout out to my guy, Thane, Coach Reed. Re-up my sub, ready for the holiday push. Let's do it, man. Hit me up. We'll be all over it. Wish you and your family a happy holidays. Mm-hmm. Keep it moving here, Hoop. Is there anything else on this game you wanted to key in on? Because I'm definitely in on the Indy side. As I said, kind of talk through the Pittsburgh runbacks. Did you have a winner for the first $100?
Yeah, let's see. A lot of comments revolving around the Dak Prescott stuff this year. Dak's left a lasting impression on our show for the season. This is a good one, but it wasn't part of the SHIPIT Nation shows. We have to keep bringing this one up when your initial
you just want more people to find out about it. That's all. Like
I still have it up here. So funny because I still have it just sitting right up here. We got to find a way to get that out.
Close your tabs. Yeah,
I can't. I got to keep that one because that's a gem. I got to bookmark that.
It said Dak left a lasting impression in my bank account. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, I mean a lot of numbers. I mean that was a big week, and the funny part about that Dak on the main slate week was I shipped the main slate with Dak. You shipped that week too, but it was a totally different build that didn't include Dak. Wasn't it Sam Howell, right?
Sam Howell, yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun week. All right. There's a lot of, I got to find the comment. I'll find it in a minute. I'll keep going up. There's some good ones in there. Oh man, where did they go? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. We're going with James. We're going with James because a lot of comments about Dak, so we're going to go with the Dak one. When Hoop talked about Dak and played him and he hit, Hoop thinks he's not good. I still don't think when a push comes to shove, he's going to get owned in the playoffs. But anyhow, goes to show sometimes you have to play players you don't like when the situation calls for it. And that's very important because we talked about it on the show and somebody put it in the chat. I can't remember who. I want to give him credit because, it made sense and it still rings true. It's like, man, like Hoop playing Dak was a business decision, and it really was. Like a lot of times when you start DFS, okay, and for you it might be a little bit different being in Canada, but when you're here in the United States and you have your teams that you're loyal to and the players that you're loyal to, you start playing this game and you're like, oh, I'm a Tigers fan, so I want to play Tigers guys today, or I'm a Lions fan, I want to play Lions guys. Got to remove the biases, right? You have to remove the biases. And all season long, last year, the year before, I shit on Dak, but I recognized something early on in the season that Tony Pollard, A, was not being productive. B, they turned to the pass rather quickly. And C, they kept their foot on the pedal. They'd be up by 25 and they continue to throw the ball. And that's why I was getting on Dak. That's why, he was still coming in low owned because people kept playing Tony Pollard. So it was just an easy, natural pivot. You got to sometimes eliminate your biases. And it's crazy coming into this season. I would never thought my 3 biggest wins in the NFL season would revolve around Dak Prescott as my quarterback, but that was the case. So our guy, where did that comment go? James.
Yeah. James, you can hit us up, info@shipitnation.com. Let us know. We'll get you set up. You just got to screenshot your YouTube account. We'll get it all set up and your PayPal email address so we can get the $100 over to you. Shout out again to our guy. That's CK Fly. Gave away that $100. Wanted to give away $100 on the next show. Made it happen here. So that's the first winner is James B. Got the job done. We'll pick another winner after. We'll pick a member hoop later on. But let's talk about this Denver-Detroit game. My guy Thane comes right in, says that's definitely the stack game. But don't forget, you can still play the Denver D because of those Goff INTs. So makes a good point there. And on a 3-game slate, that's absolutely something you can get away with. You should not be setting up rules to block that from happening or anything like that when it's only 3 games, especially staggered like this. There's also late swap stuff that you can do or move things around if you do want to change it and get a little bit closer or whatnot and try and move off something that could negatively correlate. But it never is said that it definitely does. Like you could see where those times used to happen all the time with a guy like Jameis Winston. We've seen it with Sam Howell a bunch of games. We've seen it for Cleveland this season in games that they've been in. They've scored a ton of points and still the other teams put up a bunch of points, but then their D still came through the other way. So lots of different opportunities there. Anything else that you can think of there? If not, take us into this Denver-Detroit game.
Yeah, so this game, nothing else on that one, but Denver, Detroit, the highest total sitting at 47 and a half, and Vegas is giving the Lions credit. I mean, they have not played well, but they expect them to play well here today or tomorrow, and it leads me to believe that it might be a pretty decent bounce back spot for this Lions offense that just has not looked good. Their team has not looked good the last few weeks. Goff continues to turn it over and just not play well. He's always played well though at home, and they're back in this dome. It's going to be in essentially a primetime spot Saturday night. From a fantasy perspective, it's kind of pretty clear path on the guys you want to play on the Lions. Like Goff is the most expensive quarterback, but he's got the weapons to go along with it. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, and Gibbs, and you can pair Goff with all those guys, including Gibbs. And I have to imagine at this point in the season, things start to shift a little bit more to Gibbs, who's just a way more dynamic player than a guy like David Montgomery. So all those guys in play. Now, who else can you play? I guess the only real questionable guy on the slate is Josh Reynolds. Practiced in a limited capacity. It looked like Wednesday and Thursday. If he were to miss, it's going to give opportunities to, Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond, maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones. And those secondary guys are guys I just want with Goff stacks. Like a guy like Jameson Williams, I think fits very well in a Goff team. Like the home run, big play upside, and he's substantially cheaper than a lot of these other wide receivers, 3,400. He's way down there. They have to get him more involved. Like, he's the big play type guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches a touchdown pass tomorrow night. So, Jameson Williams is a guy I definitely want to be on. St. Laporta, definitely a very strong tight end option. Gibbs as well, all in play. Now, it gets more difficult on the Denver side because it's just been very tight, man. It's been Russell Wilson, it's been Courtland Sutton, and it's been Javonte Williams, and no one else is really doing shit. And it's tough to click on some of these names. Another price that you're going to look at and be like, oh, wow, Jerry Jeudy, 4,700. Well, Jerry Jeudy has done absolutely nothing all season long. I mean, the only way I think I really played Jeudy is in Russell Wilson type teams. Mims is, what do we do with Mims? He is 3,200, super cheap. He got 3 targets last week, but another guy just has not done anything all season. Definitely prefer Jameson Williams over Mims for the same price tag. And then, we have Troutman, a cheap tight end option, but man, do you really want to play Troutman at 3K? 3 targets, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. Did catch the touchdown last week. Yes, he does have touchdowns in 2 out of the last 3, but I think you might need to do even a little more than that on the slate because tight end is pretty deep. I mean, we have some big name guys with Hawkinson, Laporta, Tanner Hudson's been getting the job done. Freiermuth is a clear play today. So it's hard, a little more difficult for me on the Denver side, outside of Wilson, Sutton, and maybe some Javonte Williams to get too excited. But again, this is the premier game. And the one thing I have noticed on these staggered, these 3-game slates where the times are all staggered is a lot of the ownership goes to the earlier games opposed to that later game. People just like locking in their guys early and not have to worry about it. So maybe some of the ownership drops off a little bit in this game. These guys are still going to be owned, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Laporte, all that, but maybe it's a little lower than we anticipate because it does seem like the earlier games get more ownership on these 3-game staggered type slates.
Yeah, you broke that one down really well. I put up an early core for everybody that wants to see it. I really like this build. Sometimes I get these ideas when I hear people talking, and I've done it with Ham's FanDuel slate plan where I can just get ideas from reading and put it together. But like we said earlier, so these running backs just have to be popular, Gibbs and Montgomery. Even if people go to Moss, a lot of people will still say not sure on Javonte, or they're playing some sort of this passing game. The other guys say Javonte will get ownership, but I think Gibbs and Montgomery get more in the same game. And then the rest kind of drop off a cliff, even though no Madison would make somebody, the best ball bros are probably excited for their Ty Chandler shares, but the opposite best ball bros that put Madison way up the board, then they're not excited. So it's the way that one goes. But just in general, talking out loud, Williams would definitely be attached to Goff. If Jameson Williams has a big game here, it's going to be an 80-yard touchdown with whatever else he picks up along the way. So we'll wait on the news on a guy that we were talking about earlier with Josh Reynolds. But then Amon-Ra instead of Pittman, he's $600 more. But if you go here and look, and he's not the best value comparison, he's only a point off, and you have the money. I just don't care. I've got that money. I'll find it, and it's not much. So I like that. Moss will be popular either way, so that's fine. I'm just plugging him in, but I'm not playing him with Pittman or instead. I'm playing him instead of. And then a lot of people in Goff stacks would rather have Laporta here, but as you'll see, Laporta is actually a little bit under Hawkinson versus Amon-Ra is under Pittman. So I can stack it up like this, have a good feel for both sides. I don't have to worry about the Denver guys. I'm not playing the Detroit running backs. A 3-1 with an indie play and a mini play, and then there's 3 spots open. And that's just a way to see a game when you're breaking it all down game by game here like this. I try and look for little things like that. And I think a lot of people with Goff would think naturally Laporta, and I'm going to have lineups like that, but you can build lineups differently too, and then be able to get some different things set up here in that way. I think I saw this yesterday too, as Dulcich is off the IR. I honestly don't care. They just have way too many dudes there.
Too many dudes, yeah.
Trying to figure it out. You're just playing roulette there, and it's it's not really.
They already ruled him out. He's not playing. So.
Okay, I thought that they said he was coming off.
Yeah, he's off the IR, but he's not playing.
Yeah, ruled him out, and Nick Benito. Okay, so yeah, that's already done anyway. Yeah. But either way. Troutman has been, if you want to go there, I guess, but I'm not too excited about that. So,
I think there's a couple scores at tight end. I think even these cheap tight ends, they got to do something because you have 2 of the best fantasy tight ends in the league in Hawkinson and Laporta. You got Freiermuth, you have Tanner Hudson who's been playing well. So I don't think it's a slate where you're looking to be like, man, if my guy gets a 1-yard, 1-catch touchdown type situation, it's good to go. I don't think that's probably good enough on the slate.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is what you're hoping for. That's what you're hoping for with a guy like Troutman. And again, I don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think you could also have some 2 tight end builds with the guys that we kind of had to make cases for. Like you said, like Jerry Jeudy or Pickens are almost the same price. I know we were picking between Pickens and Deontay, but it's like, man, there's really bad options across the board there. So again, matching it up with your stacks is key. You could play a naked Russ, I guess, but I mean, on this slate, it feels like if it's going to be a Russ slate, it's going to be attached to something. And then shout out to our guy, Chris.
I was just pulling it up as well. Want to go ahead and make the announcement now, or you want to do it at the end? At the end? Okay. All right.
I got to find it. If you want to, do you have the $100 winner for the other one? Or do you have anything else you want to add? Final thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, in this game, for the Lions and Broncos game, it's just Lions side, I think, is pretty clear. Like what you want to do, the guys you want to play, how you want to play them. Broncos side is a little more difficult because, man, I don't want to play these tight ends. Jerry Jeudy's been an absolute disaster. It's just Russ, it's Cortland Sutton, and it's Javonte Williams for me. I don't think I'm going to mess around with, any of these other guys. In terms of the member win, there's a lot of comments in our Discord, but a lot of them revolved around the Dak Prescott stuff, which I guess clearly was a highlight of the season on these shows, the Dak Prescott, and for the right reason, because a lot of our members won life-changing money by kind of playing Dak. But the other thing that remained true, we had that stretch early on, I don't know if you remember, where we were all taking turns with internet issues. Like you were cutting out, and it has corrected here over the course of the season because we've been running pretty good with the internet connections, but kept having the issues. And Beetlebane, he goes, my favorite memory is when everyone's having internet connection issues and Tambo kept showing his internet speed. I mean, that was classic. If you insult Tambo's internet, he's going to prove to you that he's got that 900 MBs waiting as firepower behind. And
we're hurting the unit right now.
Yeah,
we're really hurting unit right now. Like this thing is just snail's
you're down. You might freeze on us here. If you freeze, I got us the rest of the way. Don't worry.
This is like we got the high-end internet over here. I'll tell you what, boys. We got 720. Oh, only 720. We are just 720. This is not a good
slow day. Man. Slow day at the office.
Slow day. We got to get out of there. I'm embarrassed by that. We got to get right off that screen. Take that thing down. Go back to this one. We're there, but we do have a winner. So who'd you give that to? Beetlebane?
Beetlebane, yeah.
Beetlebane, reach out to Hoop in the Discord. $100 cash coming your way. He's going to hit all these up together at the same time when we get there. Shout out to DFS Juice, who gave that one away. DFS Juice has had himself a pretty good season. I don't have his most recent win up, but this was just a month and a half ago. He won $80,000 on $18 and then came back this week on the 2-gamer on Monday with the Tennessee game, went to Will Levis stacks again and ended up getting the job done for another $50K for a huge day. So shout out to DFS Juice. We have another $100 to give away tomorrow. I'm going to set the free roll up for members. I'll tag it in our NFL Discord channel. Everyone can get into that, where you have to ship it. Surprise, surprise, to get the money. If you come in first, you get the $100. Shout out to D Baroff last night, got the job done there for Showdown. And he just read the slate, but that was one thing I hated yesterday's slate hoop, and I was kind of correct. But my main core and then the last tidbit of play the defense against the quarterback ended up being the winning lineup. I just don't really play lineups that get duped 100 and something times, so it wasn't going to be for me to be having it. But I left like thousands on the table and did other silly stuff with it. But I'm happy for him. He won, I think, 3,500 cash off like $5, and then won the free roll for the extra 100 on top. So congrats to D Baroth. And lastly, guys, the winner of the Dan Marino autographed jersey that Hoop is going to have to part with or make a very good offer if he's really trying to keep this thing. But the winner is on Twitter, Wally Boa, WALLYBOA at Tom J. Wallace. Follows me. I'm sending you the congrats text now so that you get that one. And you are the winner. When you respond to that, we'll get you all set up. We'll get your details, send it out to you. Shout out to our guy, Chris L. Really awesome gesture. I mean, he just hit us up one day and said, hey, kind of got a bunch of memorabilia, got a lot of things, cards and jerseys and all this other stuff. Thought I would give this away. You guys do what you please with it. We used it to help grow the YouTube channel, get some more followers on Twitter, have some fun within the community. And Ross is all the leaders today. Is that Hoop's son's Twitter account? So
no,
congrats.
maybe.
Maybe. Tom J. Wallace. Yeah, that's Hoop's son. But anything else, Hoop? You got anything else you want to go through here, man, before we get out of here? I thought like breaking down and showing off some of the projections, obviously a good way for people to get an early insight. You guys can get all that over at shipitnation.com. You can use the promo code MAYO if you want to get 10% off. It's just another way to get in. You can sign up weekly and just get in for this week for $24, but we always recommend against that because you don't get the Discord community and it's only a few more dollars. It's a $2 a day type thing to get in for the month and see what the place is all about. Get in, check out the education courses, all of those other things that we've got going on. But anything else, Hoop, you've got final thoughts for this 3-game slate before we get out of here?
Yeah, so we got, all our content will be going up this afternoon, this evening, and, changes most likely, in the morning if there are any, but we'll have full content for this 3-game slate. Quick turnaround for the full slate on Sunday, and then also tomorrow we have UFC 296 title and Marley going live. I believe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Or what time is it right now? Yeah, about 10.
15. Give him a break. Go to the washroom. Get a sandwich and a drink. Come back down. Hoop's gonna send me some Celsius. I gotta
get you some Celsius because apparently you can't get it up there in Canada for some reason. Yeah, so we'll get that shipped out. Just looking forward to getting this year wrapped up and then keep the momentum here at SHIPIT Nation moving into the next year. And a lot of really, we're not gonna release everything, but a lot of really big things on the horizon. I'd say. What's the best way to put it? I keep saying game changing, and I truly believe that we're working on some game changing type stuff. I think for our members rolling into 2024, and even with the game changing stuff, and a lot of times around the industry, you see people like, oh yeah, now we got this, but it's going to cost you $250 more a month. Like anything we're bringing to the table that's game changing is not going to result in a huge price increase for our people. Most likely it's going to result in 0 price increase for our people. So a lot of big things on the horizon for next year. Just very, very excited for all that. And, very thankful for everyone here that's been supporting us.
Interesting. Some stuff going on in the world of PGA. So check that out after. But I do want to note here too, everything you said is great. Harry says this though, in my 18-player league and Showdown, because, you can take everything we just talked about in that Denver-Detroit game and apply it. We will have all the Showdown stuff covered on the site for that game and then projections and ownership for the other 2 games if you want to play those smaller slates. But it says here, like he says, in Showdown, they almost always play both quarterbacks. Feel like I have to follow suit. Thoughts? You don't have to. And I mean, if you know they are, you can obviously play against that because you know what they're doing already and you can level against it. But it did bring me up to this point. Always going to show you guys what we have, especially when it's free. But if you haven't yet done so, Harry, you can just go to shipitnation.com. Scroll down here. Even if you're not a member, this is for anybody. There's no credit card information required. It's literally just your email, like it says, and you will get our free 45-minute NFL DFS Showdown mini course where we cover on topics like what you just asked and everything else within it. It's the whole segment that we did where Hoop and I are going through talking about our Showdown process and how you can apply it to help get better and work on your own game. It's just your email, sign up, and you get that portion of the course. It is, of course, is a breakout from the 4-hour course where we literally went through everything you can think of with NFL DFS. We have an introduction about why we did the course. We talk about the entire process with everything you see on the screen, all about roster construction, Hoop breaking down his Millie Maker winner. I talk a lot. This has been very beneficial, I know, for people that are even moving and using these tactics of the secret of satellites and qualifiers and moving it into NBA and NHL and other sports like that, what to do after you qualify, if you get in, the live final reviews that I do. But you're getting this whole segment in that free email course where you get the lowdown on Showdown. We break it all down, correlation, stacking, game script, general strategy and concepts would tie in to what you were just talking about. Roster construction would tie in to what you're talking about, how to use the punt plays, what about kickers and defenses, and if you do play on FanDuel, any of the differences over there. And then at the end of the full course, there's like 40 minutes of members' question and answers where we answer every single one we got that wasn't already answered throughout the course. And then we broke down a DFS glossary and terms. But these courses under SHIPIT Nation Education, there's an NBA edition as well. These come free on your membership signup. So not only do you get the projections, ownership, all the coverage for all the sports, the tools, the rankings, the content, the reports, all the sheets, etc., you do get these courses included as well. So it's going to be a good one, Hoop. I got nothing else to add. I'll let you have one more final thought, and then I'll kick us out of here.
Yeah, let's have a big week. And then it all starts, tomorrow. If you're playing NBA tonight, get in those streets, dominate. Big 3-game slate tomorrow. We got the UFC and then the main slate on Sunday. So let's go out there, get the job done, have another big week, keep this momentum going, and then let's ship some of these GPPs out there.
Yeah, stick around for the MMA show with Title and Marley if you want to get in the streets there. Last pay-per-view of the year. Thank you all for watching. Congrats to all the winners. Thank you to the members of the community that gave away all these crazy things, the Dan Marino signed jerseys, the $100, the $100 single entry tickets, all of that stuff. And then we'll have more giveaways in our Discord over the weekend. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.